Talk about kitchen cabinets. You know, one way of viewing our kitchen cabinets would be to place a camera in the room. Talk a little bit about cameras. Go down under More. Actually, it's going to be under, I think it's under More. It is under More. It's hidden from view. The last one under More is the camera. And we'll get into cameras a little bit more later, but here's how it works. I'm going to left click on the camera tool, and then I'm going to left click inside my drawing a place where I'm standing. You can see I start to draw a line here, and this line is where we're looking to, and I'll just click again, and that puts a camera in here looking to this point here. So over here in our navigator, you can see we're in project map, and going down under 3D, we've got another drop down here. We've got a new camera path here, and if we click the little down arrow, we can see our camera 1 in there. Double click on it, and that's going to bring us right to a view of our kitchen here. Now, let's just talk briefly about how to set up some of these cabinets in here. The wall cabinets, actually let's talk about the base cabinets first, the bigger ones down below. I'm going to go into Design and double click on Object. I get this palette over here where you guys can see it. And we're going to be under, I think it's under Furnishings, Casework. Double click there, and it's real hard to see. Actually, I don't know if I can expand this back up. Oh, we can just barely see things in here, but let's try our best. You can see we've got some base cabinets in here. Let's click on this one. Notice we've got different options in here. One of the things we can do is click on kitchen cabinet settings, and we can be toggling around in here and finding tab styles. Usually this is a good place to be making some adjustments in here. Our width here is 4 feet. Our depth here is 2 feet. That's pretty standard. And our height here is 3 feet, which is also pretty standard. Remember, we're talking about our countertop comes with our cabinets, so we're talking about a top height of 3 feet here. So you guys, oh, there we go. You can see it now. I can just click OK, and I can drop that cabinet into the room just by left clicking. Now, if we wonder which way it's facing while we're in 2D, if I select this cabinet here, you can see that it's got some nodes on it, but there's this one center node on the back that is black. And that's usually if we have an object, say whether it's a chair or a cabinet, something, and there is a back to the object. Usually there is a black node at the back. So if I return back to 3D, you can see, well, that is the back of the cabinet there. So we just want to be placing these up against the walls. We can be left-clicking on these pink nodes here. And if we're in this mode right here, we're moving the whole cabinet if we click on this pink node. But if we click on the pink node and we go to this far right one, Move Node, we can be stretching our cabinet. We could even be making our cabinet deeper with regards to depth and wider by stretching those nodes. Now, as correctly pointed out in class, we may not be wanting to do that, as we may end up with some non-standard size of cabinet, but I think it's pretty rare that we have a kitchen that's totally uniform in its length anyway, and no doubt some cabinet will have to grow here or there just a little bit. Let's talk about these cabinet lines. Suppose that this was a freestanding sink and we wanted lines, or we were at the end of a cabinet counter and we wanted a left line here. Notice we're always talking about looking at something from the front. So if I select this base cabinet here and we wanted a line on the left, it would be we're facing it, it's on the left hand side, this is the right hand side. Let's go find those right now. We'll go into the cabinet settings and down into cabinets. Actually, a good place to find it is in parameters, and under 2D representation you'll find something that says edge visibility in 2D. If we click left, you can see up here we've got a left one. Click right, we've got a right one up here. Or if we've got both, those lines can be on both sides. And we can just remember, we can select cabinet, and whenever we're moving something in ArchiCAD, it's always good to remember. Let's talk about moving. We're going to right click, say move, drag. And when we're in the drag command, or even rotate, we're thinking about moving from point to point. So if we wanted this corner to end up here, we'd want to click on this corner and move it to there. A lot of people, when they first start using ArchiCAD, move, drag, they'll pick somewhere on the cabinet and kind of try an eyeball. And they're like, well, yeah, that got it. No, not really. If you zoom in, you'll see there's a gap there. So we always want to be, let me kind of move this down a little bit. Right click, move, drag. If we wanted to move this to be flush with this other countertop, right click, move, drag, click on a point here or an edge and move it to another point or to an edge. That way you're flush, and you can zoom into infinity here, and those cabinets are right flush with each other. I'm just going to delete that cabinet. Let's talk about these upper cabinets here. So again, back into Object, and collapse some of this down, and we'll just hit the down arrow here till we find some wall cabinets. Actually, let's talk about this one right here. And again, we'll just left click and place it in the scene. Now, if I select our object here, you can see the top is at 2'6" and the bottom is at 0. So if we go look at 3D, select this guy here, top 2'6", bottom 0. But if we go inside the settings here, you can see that we're 2'6" off the ground. Now that's not very high off the ground. I think that we have a different sort of parameter here, because that's not from our 0 here. Let's go take a look. From the home story, it's saying 2'6", but it's really higher than that. I think that what we can do is, if you have doubts as to the height of something, we can always left click and we can use this one here, and we could go match it to, say, a countertop here. So you can see that that wall cabinet right now is basically at the same level. The bottom of this cabinet is the same level as our countertop there. We don't want that there. So what we can do is left click, use our raise up tool here, and match it to one of these other cabinets here. Now, interesting, these other cabinets are reading more correctly. If we select one, it says the top is at 7, the bottom is at 4'6". And I think that is more typical. Top is at 7, bottom is at 4'6". This cabinet over here is something weird. Let's see here. I think that's one of those cabinets like we just selected. I think there's something up with that cabinet, but just to be sure, what we could do is we could raise this up and down and match it right to this other cabinet here. And I think that'll be fine. I think there's something wrong with this object, this 3 panel cabinet, if you will. But you can see here, top is at 7, bottom is at 4'6". That means we have 1.5 feet from 3 feet up to 4'6" for our clearance of our countertop here, and that's pretty typical. Now, returning back to 2D, let's select one of these, and let me show you how we got some of these lines here. You can see that I've created a dashed line type around this cabinet, meaning it's above our cut plane. Now, where I did that was inside of the settings, under parameters. Again, we're going to go into 2D representation. And remember, our edge visibility we're set to right, because remember we have a right line in there. We don't want it on the left because it merges into this other cabinet. But we've also go down to right above here, symbol line type, and I've changed that to be a hidden line type. And that's going to give me this dashed line here. So that kind of tells somebody, even in plan view, oh, I'm not looking at the cabinet down below. If this has a dashed line, this means that this is a cabinet up above. So that's just some tips and tricks about cabinets in ArchiCAD.